Greetings, B-movie aficionados.
Hello, welcome to A Couple of Flicks. I am Tristan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach.
Yeah. Surprise! We're doing a Nicolas Cage episode.
Oh, shit.
There you go. You know, so for folks who were eager to hear our thoughts on Dead Man's Curve and Dead Man's Hand and Wish Upon, you're going to have to wait. Sorry. Pause.
Oops.
Gotta be patient. But I don't know. I feel like we're gonna probably be full of surprises in the near future. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, but before we discuss these three secret movies that we've chosen, is there anything that you folks have seen recently that you would like to sort of talk about first?
I finally saw What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh wow. I love that movie.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
good.
It's amazing. Yep.
Can't believe I
film.
waited so long. It's so good.
Yeah, I love it. I hear the series is good too.
Yeah,
I
that's what
love the
keep hearing.
series. Yeah, I did finally watch the whole series, and it was excellent. Yeah, both the movie and the series are great. I think what I loved about it is just how much it reminded me of those old school documentaries, like just not so much the presentation aspect, but just the quality of it and and just the improv and the wittiness and stuff. It reminded me of like those old weird cooking shows and stuff. Like that's what I like. I think that's what I got a kick out of the most with it, because it was about vampires. It's just weird to like present an idea that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know me, I love anything vampire, so
Yeah. Oh, I still gotta send you Blood for Dracula. Holy shit. Yeah. But
I still have to send you stuff too.
yeah.
Sitting right in front of me.
We're supposed to send each other all these different things and we keep forgetting. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, What We Do in the Shadows. That's a good one. Taika Waititi is like I definitely adore him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he deserves all his acclaim he's gotten.
I would have to agree, yeah.
For sure.
And was that his first movie he made? Or did he make stuff before that? I don't know.
You know that show Flight of the Conchords?
Yeah, I know
he was involved. Yeah, that he was involved in that, and then also like another movie, Eagle versus Shark, like before that. But anyway, what were you gonna say? Sorry for interrupting.
Me?
Nick, sorry.
No, I just asked if that was what if he was involved in anything else before that. That's all.
Yeah. It was, I think it was Boy that kind of made him like a serious that's the film that sort of skyrocketed it, which that might be his best movie actually. Like when you talk about like how like the way films the way like people expect films to be and stuff like that one is one that was particularly unpredictable. So that was a good one. But What We Do in the Shadows, that might be my favorite. So
yeah, I think so too. Jojo Rabbit was good, but I still love What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jojo Rabbit was really good. It was really sad though. Like, but I mean, of course, like I would rather be sad and honest than, you know, fake and not like truthful. So
Yeah.
And then the Wilder People, whatever that one was is that one. I like that one just because it was cool to see Sam Neill again.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I haven't seen that one.
That was good. It was really funny. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you guys have, but it seems like everyone has the Squid Games or Squid Game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started it this morning.
Oh, you only just started it?
Mhm.
It's good.
Yeah.
I loved it so much.
Surprised so many
Yeah.
people are talking about something Korean.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's like, oh,
like it.
everyone watches this, but they won't watch Parasite.
Right.
Maybe
It was.
it'll open people's minds more.
Hopefully, yeah. Since
I
it
think
blew up.
so.
There's a lot of good Korean stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully it opens them up. Especially since they got so much like regular people watching it. I hope they all watched it in the Korean language subbed.
I doubt it.
Oh, one thing I will say, actually, the majority of people who've been recommending this show to me have been like Gen Zers, believe it or not, and almost every single one of them has said watch the Korean language one, which I think is kind of cool. It's like, okay, cool. So like little kids actually do know how to read, you know?
Yeah. I know, like one of my friends watched it, didn't even know there was didn't know there was a Korean language option. But
Yeah,
mine just defaulted to it, so I don't know.
Yeah, mine did too.
mine did as well.
And apparently the you're supposed to switch the closed captioning to a different one too, because there's an English closed caption and an English translation. Because I guess
Yeah.
the closed caption version is the translated version of the dub, which makes
Yeah.
it worse, apparently.
Yeah, it's weird how complicated it is to actually even get the setup done in some places. It's just like it shouldn't be that hard. The same thing happened when because the Netflix used to have all kinds of crazy stuff on there, and they had Old Boy, but they only had the English dubbed version, and so a lot of people I knew like who'd seen it, they were like, "Oh, I liked it, but the acting was so terrible, like they just awful," and I'm like, you watched it in the wrong language. Like,
Yeah.
of course it's gonna sound like crap if it's English
Yeah.
translated. Like,
Yeah, like my
it,
friend watched it and I was just telling him about it. And he's like, oh, wait, what? I watched it dubbed. I didn't even know there wasn't. I was like, how did you even like it then? Like
yeah,
that's like if people are watching it dub, I don't know how they even enjoyed it because I watched like a YouTube clip and I wasn't sure if it was a joke or not because it was just so bad. I was like,
yeah.
oh,
That's
oh.
that's easily one of the worst dubbings I think ever. I don't know, that one's really down there. I think what irritates me the most about that one is how good the movie is versus in comparison to how bad the English dubbing is. It's just kind of repulsive that they kind of allowed that, you know. But what can I say?
Yeah.
Although I've also seen some really bad English dub versions of some Takashi Miike films as well that are just like so embarrassingly awful that it's just like you kind of like can't even believe your ears. Like it really kind of does affect the quality of the film sometimes. So
Yeah. Yep. Especially with Squid Game, like the acting was phenomenal. I don't know how the hell you can even replicate it with a dub.
yeah, I'm really enjoying. I mean, I definitely am excited to like finish it. I'm gonna probably finish it in like the next 2 days, more than likely. So
Yeah.
that's what I do when I really get like when I watch a show and it clicks with me. I'm like, okay, yeah, I just gotta get this. I gotta just take this in for a bit, you know.
Yeah, this is one of them too. That you can just like
Yeah.
watch in a night, basically.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, I've watched a bunch of stuff, but I can't really recall it right now. But I mean, the most recent thing I watched was I finally actually sat down and watched Shiva Baby.
Okay.
Yeah, have you guys heard of that one?
Heard of it.
Nope, I haven't.
Okay. Well, I read about I made the mistake of reading the plot description like maybe a year ago, like when it was still in festivals, and it sounded like like the type of movie that would give me like a terrible anxiety attack, because it's about this girl who goes to a funeral and ends up running in like inexplicably running into her sugar daddy, while she's surrounded by like all these family and friends who are people like who are interacting with her and stuff. And like it sounded to me, that sounded like a horror movie. Like that's my idea of like something that I kind of can't really stomach all the time. Like that's the type of movie I'd have to be more in a particular mood for. It's like that movie Krisha about that aunt who shows up at that family gathering and nobody really wants her there, and you slowly kind of find out why throughout the course of the movie. Like, and it's really suspenseful and gut wrenching, and it kind of just puts knots in your stomach, and it just kind of makes you not want to look at the screen. It's that type of movie, you know. And so I heard about it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna hold off on that one. But then it came out and it got like amazing reviews, and so of course I had to see it, and I watched it, and I actually really loved it a lot. It was actually a really good movie, and and it was actually like it was definitely hard to watch, but at the same time, like it was, you still like you couldn't like turn away from it, because it was just such a growing disaster that was just getting like more and more grotesque as it goes along. And then it just ends on the most perfect, like in the most perfect way possible. It's a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really funny. It was absolutely terrifying, but it was definitely my type of movie. And it's short too. It's less than 80 minutes, so it's a good bite. Yeah, it's a nice little bite-sized movie. You can sit down and watch it like in the middle of an afternoon. It'll give you a little something to sort of think about. I really enjoyed it, but it's definitely not easy viewing if you're the type of person who kind of doesn't enjoy watching like uncomfortable, squeamish type of things. Like it's not like super gross or anything like that. Like it's not like Tim and Eric or anything like that, but it's uncomfortable because it's relatable, you know. It's taking situations that everybody has experienced and heightening them, I guess is the way I would describe it. So
Okay.
yeah, I liked it though. It was good.
I don't think I would have ever heard of it if it wasn't a Vinegar Syndrome partner label.
Yeah, I'm really happy it was. Like once I found out that was the case, I was like, oh my god, now I have to see it. Like, I mean, there were so many things. Like, it was a movie I decided to hold off on, like purposefully, but then so many arrows pointed to it that eventually I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna have to watch it now. So, but so, and then I'm also I'm watching a list of my sister gave it to me. I'm not sure where it came from. 125 essential films, and I started with the first one on the list today, which was the movie Intolerance, which is directed by D.W. Griffith. And I liked it. It was cool. It was visually really interesting, and the story, it was kind of about like examples of tolerance that has to do with like race and greed and all these other things, and it was well done, like particularly for the type of like for the time period it was made, you know. So, and D.W. Griffith also happened to be the director of Birth of a Nation, which is really unusual because it's like the polar opposite type of movie. But there you go. You know. Anyway, I started with that one today. It was interesting little silent movie. Probably not something you guys would want to like sit down and watch casually, you know. But like, you know, there's that too. You know, it's like the other most recent thing. Anyway. So yeah.
Nice. Don't think I've heard of that one.
Intolerance.
Yeah.
It was good. I liked it. Anyway, I don't know. I might talk about these throughout the podcast. Just, you know, just as something to bring out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Keep us updated.
Yeah, why not? So a lot of them I've seen already, but I'll watch them again. So all right, so I want to talk about mine first. The choice of a Nicolas Cage movie that I chose. I didn't really. I was kind of undecided on which one to choose. I wanted to sort of choose one that I hadn't seen, but at the same time, I was like, nah, I don't know. And I felt like rewatching The Wicker Man, and so I was like, why not rewatch the remake as well? I'd seen it before. Had you guys?
No.
The Cage version or the
Yeah.
original? Yeah, I've seen the
The-
Cage. Yeah, I've seen it a couple times, and I think it was like
Oh,
the first movie I watched of not of Cage, but like of the this is Cage going crazy. Probably one of the first movies I watched knowing it was bad to laugh at.
Yeah.
You know, bad
Okay.
and funny, like yeah, way back in like
Ah.
high school, maybe before that or
Oh,
something. Yeah.
oh yeah. All right. All
Yeah.
right. Cool.
Yeah, I hadn't seen either of them, so I watched both.
Excellent. Yeah, that's exactly what I did too.
I haven't seen the original yet.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's
Well,
like
yeah,
way better. What?
yeah. I had seen the original when I was like not that young. I think I was like 12 or 13. It was like some weird movie that my dad put on. And I thought it was like really, really freaky. Like I was like, oh, like I had a really visceral reaction to it. And like every time I like think of like movies that really scared me, that one always comes to mind, the original Wicker Man. And I think I put it on my top 5 horror movies list that we made like a year or two ago. So but I decided to rewatch the original before I watched this one, and I still like the movie. It wasn't as scary as I remembered it being, but I still enjoyed it. But this movie, on the other hand, is just it's kind of just a giant pile of bullshit, really. I like it's actually I actually didn't really quite enjoy it as much as I was hoping I would. When I rewatched it this time, I was kind of the thing is the first time I watched it, it was sort of it was after I had seen the original, so I wanted to just give it another shot, like all these years later, just to see what my overall impression was of it. And I mostly found it really irritating, actually, and I kind of got depressed watching it. Because they add so much exposition and none of it ends up meaning anything, and it all ends up being a waste of time.
Yeah, that's like the early 2000s horror remake. That's all they did. Threw in a backstory, threw in a love story.
Yeah. They did it with the Black Christmas remake. They did it with like I think Willard. I don't know, for whatever reason they kept the Fog, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Amityville Horror, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. That one was weird. Friday the 13th, they tried to do something with. I mean, these remakes were bizarre, and this one kind of falls. Actually, I will say I did enjoy this more than the Fog remake.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And Nicolas Cage, I will say, he is a little bit of an anomaly in this film. He kind of doesn't really have a character. He's just some guy who did. He's just some guy who did stuff. Like,
just goes around screaming at people.
yeah. The only character development he has in this movie is at the very beginning, which ends up being an unnecessary scene as a whole. Like when you actually finish watching the movie, like the scenes really don't add anything. But the opening scene involves him sort of. Well, okay. Is there a Wikipedia plot summary? Maybe we should just do it that way, because I mean,
there is.
Okay. I think we got to just go through this movie and just sort of break it apart a little bit, because I mean, I know we're just going to probably be talking shit about it for the next half an hour, but this is a bit of an odd little movie, I got to say, in a number of different ways, narratively speaking and acting wise.
Yeah, there's some interesting acting choices.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Want me to just go ahead with the plot?
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Well, actually, wait, before you go ahead with the plot, I do want to say this movie was actually directed by a talented director, Neil LaBute. Like, he actually has done movies that are interesting. He did that Nurse Betty movie, which I'm not going to say is a great movie, but it has a good performance by Renee Zellweger in it. And he also did a movie called the In the Company of Men, which was pretty chilling. He's a really good writer. He's good at directing his own writing. And my theory is he does not like the original, and kind of wanted to make a movie that was made a mockery of it. I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, let's start from the top, I guess. Let's see how fast we could do this.
All right. Policeman Edward Malice, Nicolas Cage, gets news from his ex-fiancee Willow Woodward that her daughter Rowan is missing. He travels to an island off the coast of Washington State where a group of neo-pagans live.
So it says right out that it's his daughter, right in the first line.
That her daughter.
Oh, okay.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Oops.
No, you find that out pretty quickly, right?
I don't. I thought it was
obvious.
halfway through. Yeah, halfway through, I thought they kind of mentioned that it was his daughter, but it was just like his ex's daughter, I think, right? At first.
Well, he finds out it's his ex's, and then he discovers it's his daughter, and it's like, oh wait, that's a twist. Okay, cool.
Not really.
The thing, what I didn't understand is that Nicolas Cage's character should have seen that coming. It doesn't make sense to have a character be surprised by that. Like, the way he reacted to that was kind of visceral, which makes you question his sense of logic, his perspective. Like, I think this guy is already crazy. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. I think he's crazier than the cult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's losing it in the beginning. He's seeing shit, and I don't know. He's taking drugs for something. I forget what.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like PTSD, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, oh yeah, what the Wikipedia summary doesn't tell you, at the beginning of the movie, he stops a family because I think they're for speeding, because the daughter drops her stuffed animal. He stops them, pulls them over.
On a bit like where he pulled them over to was like, this is because I didn't exactly remember everything, but I was like, hey, this doesn't look like a safe spot to pull over. It was not because it's on a curve, on a downhill curve, right on the curve. I was like, this doesn't look too safe to pull over. You should, go up a little further.
Yeah. It was kind of a funny position. But there are a lot of funny positions in this movie, so I guess it doesn't matter. He stops them, has a chit chat. They're like, we're in a rush. He's like, don't worry, it's all cool. Just be careful, on the road. He gives her the stuffed animal back, the little girl. She tosses it like further away from him. So he has to walk to the stuffed animal and retrieve it, which is pretty funny because it's like Nicolas Cage having to retrieve a stuffed animal for a little girl in the backseat of a van. Like, it's just kind of a funny way to start off a movie. But then it doesn't matter because then the car ends up just randomly getting ran over by a giant truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they avoided Cage to hit the car. But
yeah. And I'm just like, okay, so this is how we're going to start off this movie. Now, this already betrays the original because, all right, so I'm just going to sort of keep comparing this to the original because, I don't give a fuck if it's its own movie. The original movie started off simple. It didn't really dissect the main character all that much. It established him as a traditionalist, and it established him as somebody who is relatively naive to his circumstances and is in over his head by default. The very first scene is him going to church, and then after that, you really get nothing else. And as he goes into this village, it's an interesting film because he's going through and everybody's obviously acting weird, but at the same time, he's aggravating everybody in sight, like both psychologically and physically. And he's being really loud and boisterous. He like clanks on the table at a bar that's really noisy where everybody's doing their own thing, minding their own business, just being weird together, playing music and stuff. And he interrupts it all and says, "Hey, I'm investigating the disappearance of a little girl." And he's just a constant buzzkill throughout the course of the film. And then throughout the investigation, as he's trying to find this missing girl, he ends up sort of slowly getting more and more in this situation where these people are just completely mad. And at one point, it almost seems like he's starting to like lose his mind. And so the original film is really scary because it shows the cult as being like sort of like scary and evil in their own way. But then at the same time, the main character also, you like don't quite know what he's capable of. So it's really disturbing because throughout the course of the whole film, you're like you're not sure who's going to really commit the first act of evil. You don't know who's going to really start like pushing this like the plot into overdrive, because it's basically not even a horror movie until the last 20 minutes. The original movie, I mean, he does talk to Christopher Lee, and that part's really creepy, but up until about the last 20 minutes, it's mostly just a really dark mood thriller where you're not really sure exactly what's going to happen. But then eventually this guy starts taking advantage of the situation, and he dresses in this costume and starts immersing himself in this cult. And then it ends up resulting in a twist ending, and it goes in its own direction. So that's how the original goes, just to kind of get that out of the way.
You mentioned Christopher Lee. So is that cult in that movie all female?
No, it's not. That they changed that for this remake.
Yeah, the original one was like a sex cult.
Oh.
Yeah. And they were all into the idea of like this like the solstice. Like have you watched Midsummer yet?
Still haven't. I want to. I've heard it's comparable to Wicker Man-ish with a cult type thing, yeah. But other than that,
yeah, it's sort of similar to that in a way, except it's more based on like like what Zach said, what you said. It's like it's based on more of like a free love commune type of thing, rather than like a theater performance type of thing, which is more what that movie's about, and so the way the original is, like, he's kind of wandering through this village, and he's a conservative Christian who is kind of examining these odd rituals, and they're really disturbing to him because they involve like things that are rather like unusual or transgressive. But this movie sort of changes all that, and we're going to find out how. So go on, you can keep reading.
Well, the first thing they changed, the location is like stupid. This takes place off the coast of Washington State. The original's in Scotland. So 70s Scotland. It's a way better location. Makes more sense.
Yeah, and in this one, he's a California cop. So, I mean, they mention it. He has no jurisdiction over where he is. So, but they just let him get away with continuing to investigate, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like they don't even give a crap whether he's there or not, which makes absolutely zero sense considering how the movie ends. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. I mean, it's a meme at this point, so it's not like everybody knows how the movie ends. Which, by the way, just for folks out there, if you guys plan on renting this movie off of Netflix or whatever it's on, Amazon, the scene that everybody knows with the cage on Cage. That's only in the unrated version. They don't put that in the theatrical cut. Yeah, in the PG-13 cut that was in the theater, that scene was totally not like they totally took it out, and because they thought it was too disturbing for a PG-13 apparently. And then like the video surfaced on YouTube of Nicolas Cage, and no, not the bees, like
Yeah, it's a meme.
and everybody like started like thinking like, oh man, the Wicker Man, holy shit, wow. But then everybody started renting the theatrical version, not knowing that it's the unrated director's cut. I guess Neil Labute decided he deserved his director's cut of a movie that he clearly doesn't, that he's making a remake that he doesn't like the original. Like, I don't get that, but whatever. Anyway, the bee scene is in the remake. It's in the unrated version, not the theatrical cut.
Okay, I didn't know there was another cut. Yeah, without the
Yeah.
bees.
Yeah, isn't that stupid? The best scene
Yeah.
in the movie
All
gone.
right. Damn.
Like, yeah, it's like the dumbest shit. Anyway, yeah, so go on.
The island is the island is led by Sister Summer Isle, an elderly woman who represents the goddess they worship. Sister Summer Isle explains to Edward that their ancestors had left England to avoid persecution, only to settle near Salem and find renewed persecution in the Salem witch trials before arriving on the island. Sister Summer Isle explains that their population is predominantly female, as they choose the strongest stock, evading Edward's concern about the birth of unwanted males. The island's economy relies on the production of local honey, which Edward learns has declined recently. In the original, it was apples, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Which again makes more sense because it's like, hippie shit, oh, golden apples of the sun, man, like there you go.
Yeah.
But in this, it's kind of like, it's kind of a red herring, actually. At the end of the day, it ends up sort of, I mean, yeah, it sort of serves the same purpose, but it never really, it's like, it's a potentially interesting concept. And actually, I must admit, this Wikipedia article is making the movie sound a lot better than it actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so picture everything that you're describing right now, and then picture Nicolas Cage running around bullying people into getting all of this information. And that's pretty much what you get, like, with this movie, is Nicolas Cage being a douchebag.
Yeah. I mean, and I can actually see kind of why they made the change to honey if it's with bees in a because it's a matriarchal cult, and bees are, they follow a queen bee, and all the more important bees are like, the female bees, where the male bees are just like literally mostly are there for defending and then mating as well. So
yeah, I just thought that it was gonna expand more, though. Like, I thought that it was actually gonna like tie into Nicolas Cage's actual, like, what his dilemma was, because like basically they were choosing him because he was a weak male, which maybe that was the idea that the film was trying to express by having him be so short-tempered and just bullying everybody into giving him more information. I mean, maybe it has an underlying like message to it that we're not seeing. I mean, I'm really trying to understand this movie, but I don't understand the way it was structured, though, because like, if that's the message they're going for, then why have the whole backstory like even take place at the beginning? Like, why not reveal that throughout the course? Like, that would have made more sense. Otherwise it just ended up being like another trope. Like I feel like the pieces are in place for something that could have potentially been good, but then they decided to use the same blueprint of the original, which ended up being kind of mismatched in sort of a disastrous type of way. Although, admittedly, it was never boring.
Yeah, we'll only because Cage is going full Cage, at least halfway through, like partway through, he goes full Cage at least.
Yeah, I mean, if there is a saving grace to this movie, well, except what's interesting about it is that he's both the saving grace and the film's biggest weakness at the same time.
Typical Cage.
It's like, this could have been a good movie, but then they decided to cast Nicolas Cage, and he decided to just make it into his own weird thing. Like they were like, just stick to your the dialogue, and he was just like, no man, this guy's serious. And we're watching him run around acting all goofy and foolish. It's just great.
Edward asks the villagers about Rowan, but they give him evasive answers. More bullying.
Yeah.
He later sees two men carrying a large bag that appears to be dripping blood and finds a fresh, unmarked grave in the churchyard. The grave turns out to contain only a burned doll, but Edward finds Rowan's sweater in the churchyard. At the village school, teacher Sister Rose tries to prevent Edward from seeing the class register. When he sees that Rowan's name has been crossed out, he becomes outraged at the teacher's and Rowan's classmates' lies. Rose insists that Edward talk with her outside after a short discussion of the island's people's view of death. She explains that capital punishment is used to enforce their laws. Edward asks how Rowan died, and Sister Rose tell him she'll burn to death. When Edward catches the tense she used, Sister Rose quickly corrects herself. She burned to death. When Edward questions Willow about the grave, she reveals that Rowan is their daughter together. On the day of the fertility rite, Edward frantically searches the village for Rowan, disguised in a bear suit.
That's the funniest shit.
Yeah.
That bear suit.
But can we just also mention, though, they tried to kill him at one point. Like, he almost drowns. Am I wrong? Like, he goes in and the person was standing there, and they close it, and they're standing there, and they're looking right at him. Like, they can clearly see him. The movie doesn't really hide that. They're looking at right at him, and they walk away. So they tried to kill him right there. Like, so again, that doesn't really make any sense with the ending. Like,
nope.
That
ruined their whole thing.
Yeah. But I did like, I mean, that was another thing that everybody always quotes after he gets out of the grave and he's got the doll and he's screaming in the lady's face, like, how did you burn?
Yeah.
It was great. I just laughed again, you know, how to get burned, you know, it's just hilarious. Tell me. And she's just like, and everything she said, like she basically, she has one mode of expression, which is just confused and distraught, and she only reacts confused and distraught to all of his screamings and rantings and yellings, which is, it's pretty funny. I gotta admit, that was kind of a cute little character quirk. I was like, all right, so you're just gonna be that way. Like, by this point, I was just kind of having fun with it. It kind of reminded me of like a theater performance or some weird thing, like, you know. Anyway, that's how it goes. And also, I gotta admit, oh yeah, and I see that he's kind of resetting, which is okay. I gotta admit also, like, I did kind of enjoy like the overacting of the cult leader. It was Ellen Burstyn, who at this point in her career, she's like, I could do whatever I want because I already got all the respect in the world for being in like an Oscar nominated performance. So, you know, now she's trying to kind of be like, I mean, some of her best work has been in horror movies anyway, you know, like everybody kind of knows her from the original Exorcist as the mom in that. So, and it was kind of interesting to see her as the cult leader. So, yeah. I don't know. I kind of think of her in a way as being a horror icon, you know, maybe not at the same level as Christopher Lee, because Christopher Lee is like a crazy prolific type of guy who's done all these movies in like various countries and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it's cool to see like an actor like that play like a cult leader. of like an evil feminist cult. I enjoyed that idea, but she wasn't in it very much. That was the thing that kind of was disappointing. I remembered her being in it more, but she was only in like 2 or 3 scenes.
Yep. Yeah. She was. I definitely recognize her. But yeah, she wasn't in it much. But
Yeah.
very ominous lady there.
Yeah. Hey, Zach, what's up? You okay?
Yeah, always something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all good. All right, cool. Well, let's see. So I was just going on about like the cult leader. Um, let's see. Anyway, so I guess we'll go from there. And that's all I have to say about the cult leader. All right. Anyway, so I guess you can go on with the plot summary.
Where was I?
I think you
Oh,
were
yeah.
okay. Bear suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Did you guys mention at all how different the costumes were that they did in between this and the original?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can talk about that. Yeah. So in the original film, the main character in it, so he does end up sort of doing the same thing, but he does it differently. So what happens is he steals a costume from somebody else. He like knocks out someone and steals their costume, and it's the Joker costume, and it leads to this.
It was creepy. It was kind of creepy.
Yeah, it was actually really terrifying, and it leads to this really tense, uncomfortable scene where he's he gets integrated in with all these people who are in various animal costumes and various things, and they're all dancing around, and they start whipping him and stuff because he's dressed as the joke. He's the fool, quote unquote. So it's like, oh, you're supposed to act the fool, and so so he ends up still sort of being submissive to the cult's kind of routine, even though he's trying to find this missing child. And or actually I think in the original it was just like a woman. I don't think it was a child. In the remake it was a child. So in the original, so yeah, he's like, it's like a young woman and like a teenage girl. Anyway, so he like is in this line, and at one point they do this really scary thing where it's almost like it's like a like a trust test or something like that, where they put all these people's heads in between all these swords, and like as like a trust exercise to see if they're gonna like chop the person's head off. And it's just this really scary scene, where he's dressed in this Joker costume and he's still at the whim of these people. And then the way the rest of the film unfolds, it's very, very disturbing and tragic, where he, discovers that it's all a ploy, that it was all just this massive setup. And then he's burned alive in a really long, horrible, agonizing scene where, you see him inside of the Burning Man, and or the Wicker Man, I guess you could say, praying for God and all this stuff to help him, and all this that he's like retreating to his faith. And meanwhile, like these people are just they just are in total control. These psychopaths are in total control of his life and are killing him, for this thing that is just like beyond him. It's a scary, scary thing to watch. And I feel like this, and so this remake pretty much botches all of it.
Yep, you just get Nic Cage in a bear suit instead.
Yeah, the funniest bear suit ever. It was so bad looking.
Yeah. Yeah. When his little head is poking out through the mouth, I'm like, okay. Okay, you do realize you are technically a Coppola, like, and here you are, and your little face is peeking out of a bear suit, and I'm just kind of wondering, Nick, like, what's going on, dude? Like,
Right.
Nic Cage, I mean.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I thought it was funny how he just punched the lady out too. He just started going ham,
Yeah.
punched the lady out and
Oh yeah,
stole it.
he starts knocking everybody out. He knocks that one lady out, the one dude, the one chick who's kind of masculine and had a very deep voice and looked like she could rip his arms off.
Yeah.
He one punched her out, and then he also sort of drop kicked Lily Sobieski, which was my favorite part of the movie because I don't like Lily Sobieski, so it was funny seeing that. And she has the most ridiculous look on her face after he does it too, because he kicks her into a shelf, and then she's just like, ugh, ugh, ugh. And she looks annoyed that she just got knocked out by Nicolas Cage. It's just the funniest. I'm like, yes. You see, this is why I like this. This is why I like that. I like seeing that. I like to see Lily Sobieski get knocked into a shelf and make a face like she's annoyed and then pass out. There's a secret movie that I haven't chosen for the show yet, where David Carradine is dressed in drag, covered in blood, and screams at the top of his lungs. I haven't chosen it for the show yet, but that movie exists. This is why I do this, to talk about those moments where Lily Sobieski gets kicked and knocked out by Nicolas Cage. I would have expected him to do that to John Travolta, but Lily, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It kind of skips a lot, but
Oh well.
Rowan is tied to a large tree, about to be burned. Edward rescues her and they run away through the woods, but Rowan leads him back to Sister Summerisle. Sister Summerisle thanks Rowan for her help, and Edward realizes that the search for Rowan was a setup the whole time. It is revealed that Willow, known on the island as Sister Willow, I don't know why that was necessary to put in there.
I guess somebody thought it was an important detail.
Is the daughter of Sister Summerisle, and that Willow sealed Edward's fate many years ago when Sister Willow chose him as a human sacrifice to restore the island's honey production. After Edward deliberately destroyed the beehives and their crop earlier.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
It just made me hate the character more. It's like, all right, here we go. Yeah.
The villagers tackle and overpower Edward, viciously breaking his legs to prevent him from escaping and torturing him with live bees, shown in the alternate version.
Yeah.
Did they break his legs in the original?
Well, it's implied that they do, but they don't show it happen. Like they cut out the entire torture sequence. The best part of the movie, like they just take it right out. Aside from Lily Sobieski, like the best part of the movie. Yeah, but like I will admit, killing me won't bring back your goddamn honey. It did. I mean, I did have to kind of wonder about like that line a little bit, just because, like, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense, really. Like, I don't know. I think I guess I just don't understand like what the film was really trying to say, because in the original film, it was trying to kind of draw a parallel between this traditionalist way of life versus this sort of new agey type, for the time at least, new agey world, and so it was kind of, it was trying to be kind of clever and interesting, and maybe if you watch it these days it's sort of dated, but there was at least some sort of thought behind it. But in this film, like, the Nicolas Cage character isn't really established as anything other than ex-cop not cop, not ex, but somebody who's involved in the police force, who has experienced trauma from working on the job. Like, beyond that, we still don't get like a whole grasp on like what his entire perspective on all this stuff is, other than it makes him want to scream. And so at the end, that line where he's like trying to sort of challenge their faith a little bit, like in the original film, there's a line that's sort of like that, but in this remake, like it sort of doesn't really follow the logic that the film is sort of playing by, at least in my opinion. So
Yeah, there's not much logic to this film, really.
yeah, I guess not.
They carry him to an enormous Wicker Man where he's hoisted high above the ground and shut inside. Rowan sets fire to the Wicker Man, and Edward is sacrificed in a giant blaze amid his screams.
Oh god.
And then 6 months later, which I don't remember this part, was it an after credits thing?
I don't know.
Six months later, Sister Willow and Honey go to a bar and meet two policemen, with one of them having graduated from the academy. Willow and Honey agree to go home with them.
I don't remember that at all.
That was so stupid. It added nothing. It was just like, what the fuck? Yeah, it was
You
better.
saw, I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, I don't either. Because one of them,
Oh.
one of the police officers is James Franco, apparently.
What the-
Yeah,
Oh wait, hell no, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember this part at all.
it's on the unrated DVD that my dad has.
Is
I
it
don't know, maybe.
with the movie, not like a credits thing?
Yeah, I think. I mean, it
Because I
played with
thought
the movie.
I
Didn't-
definitely watched the unrated one because the bees were in there.
Yeah, that's what I saw too.
Huh, weird.
And
Okay,
apparently,
well,
apparently Aaron Eckhart's in it too, somewhere. As a truck stop patron.
oh yeah, I added nothing to the movie, and I didn't even recognize him either. Like,
Yeah, I'm just looking at the cast list and they're on there.
yeah. Well, Nicolas Cage gets burned alive, and honestly, it ended better that way. Anyway, I envy you guys. So, because that last scene was just pointless and stupid. I think it made the movie even worse. I would have rather the movie ended with Nicolas Cage getting burned alive. You know.
That's what I saw.
Yeah.
Oh well, then there you go. You guys saw the better version.
Well, they had to do try to make a sequel ending that all remakes did.
Which is
Hmm.
bullshit.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's so stupid. And that's it. That's really it. I mean, there's really nothing else to say. It's a pretty shitty movie, honestly. It's not as bad as people claim it to be. There is some thought behind it. I think that there is something to the bee concept. There is something to the feminist cult concept. There is something to the traumatized cop concept as well. And, you know, I think conceptually speaking, the idea of a investigator, you know, investigating a cult and all this stuff, trying to find a missing person, there's a lot of potential for scariness here. The film just kind of botches all of it, you know, and I can't help but think of it as intentional. Like, I really feel like Neil LaBute just wanted to insult the original. I feel like he had a bone to pick for some reason with it. Like maybe he saw it when he was a kid and hated it so much that he wanted to make a movie that made fun of it so that he could sort of get over his trauma. I don't know. That's I mean, it just felt like a movie that was making fun of the original, and I don't know. It just kind of makes me sad to think that there's going to be a lot of people in this world who will just watch the remake and not watch the original when the original is just so much better. But having said that, if you are a Nicolas Cage fan, there's some pretty decent stuff here. I mean, you could probably see all the best scenes on the internet.
Yeah, just watch a supercut.
Yeah, because it does drag on for most of the first half at least.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to enjoy. It's really only the last like 20 minutes or so, like, and then that's about it, really. Other than that, it's pretty horrible, actually. Like, like I said, it's not as bad as people say it is. Like, it's the type of bad movie that's that's bad, but not like horrendously bad to the point where it's enjoyable. It's more just bad in like a way that's kind of like semi-mediocre. Like, oh, this is shitty, but it could be shittier type of movie, which is, you know, I mean, probably my least favorite type of bad movie now that I think about it. I really didn't like it at all. I hate this movie actually. I'd give it 1. Boo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Gave it a 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave it 1.5.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's put this chapter behind us. I think we killed 2 birds with 1 stone because that movie was on the bottom 100 list, and now we don't have to talk about it anymore. So,
Nice. Good.
yeah. Score. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, let's jump right into your pick now, Zach.
Yep. This is the whole reason we did the episode, because
Yeah.
Prisoners of the Ghostland just came out.
Yeah.
And Nic Cage himself said before it came out that it was the craziest movie he'd ever done. So
Yeah.
if Nic Cage himself said that, you got to see it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it was pretty
no,
wild for sure.
Yeah, it was something else.
I just want to read the genre that it says it is on the
Okay, yeah.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
It said Prisoners of the Ghostland is a 2021 American weird Western science fiction horror adventure action crime film.
Sounds about right. Yeah. It has all of those
Yeah.
elements. Sure.
Yeah, that about nails it.
Yeah. I'm gonna mention also the director before I get started, Cyan
Yes.
Sono.
Yes. He has made some very unusual movies, and I would recommend. Well, okay, I think a lot of like genre fans probably know him as the director of Suicide Club, which is a Japanese horror movie that some people have seen. I thought more people had seen it than
Yeah.
I had realized. I for some reason I thought it was a movie that like often like showed up in like lists of like Japanese horror movies that everybody loves and stuff like that. But upon sort of looking it up, like it actually seems to be like not I wouldn't say it's obscure, but it doesn't seem to get talked about as much as a lot of like more well-known stuff. And my guess is because it's so freaking weird. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty much it's a movie that opens with 42, I think it was 42 schoolgirls jumping in front of a subway train and pretty much getting decimated, getting
He's
totally
just-
like
He's got a thing for killing schoolgirls, apparently. Because of a tag as well.
yeah. Tag has a similar beginning, if memory serves, like, or there's something happens in Tag that was
They're
sort
all
of
on,
like that.
2 tour buses full of them. Just
That was it. Yeah.
decapitates them all.
Yeah. For whatever reason, he's really into disemboweling and decapitating schoolgirls. But he also directed a movie that I really like called Noriko's Dinner Table, which is considered a sequel to Suicide Club, which will only make sense if you've seen Suicide Club. And not a lot of people have seen Noriko's Dinner Table, but trust me when I say that it's an amazing movie. And then he also did another movie called Love Exposure that seems to be his most well, like his most popular, I guess, or at least like the one that most people sort of know him for. Love Exposure.
I've heard of the other 2 you mentioned, not that one though.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Love Exposure is a 4-hour long.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's a 4-hour long dark comedy. I don't even know how to describe the plot. I mean, it's very like heavily like Catholic guilt laden. There's a gentleman who gets involved in a very troubling type of photography in which he attaches a camera to a pulley and does upskirt photography in which he swings the pulley around underneath women's skirts and takes pictures of their panties. And then
Okay, very Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah. there's this really sadistic, evil younger girl who's obsessed with cutting off male genitalia. It's a really messed up movie, Love Exposure, and it's 4 hours long. So I would recommend taking a walk before you watch it, because it throws a lot at you. But it's actually a lot more artistic and has a lot more meaningful qualities to it than I'm making it sound. Like, eventually when you get into the meat and potatoes of the plot, there's a lot there, but you do have to deal with a lot of rather transgressive imagery and offbeat concepts. So, but it's worth watching, Love Exposure.
Okay.
Yeah. He's done some other movies, Strange Circus. One particularly troubling one that was on Netflix for a while, which I feel bad for anybody who stumbled upon it, was Cold Fish, which I would describe as a combination of Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, and Falling Down. And I will say no more. And it's based on a true story, which is probably the most troubling aspect of it. But anyway, okay, jumping ahead to today, his most recent film, which I guess people are calling his American debut, although there are a lot of Eastern qualities to it, Prisoners of the Ghostland.
Yeah. I'm going to read the plot summary because, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's best to read the plot summary.
It's a wild one, yeah.
Yeah.
In a region in Japan devastated and quarantined years ago in an accident in which highly volatile nuclear waste was spilled after a crash between the waste transport and a prison bus. Guess it gets right into that instead of. I don't think we learned that till the end, right?
Nope.
No.
It's
No.
reveal at the end, yeah.
So spoiler, I mean, everybody already knows pretty much everything that's going on now, but when you're watching this movie, you don't. The film gives you no clue.
Yeah, I didn't even really know if this took place in like a alternate or Earth or reality, because it's just like a cartoony samurai town type thing in the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
in the future for sure, because there's weird tech and stuff. And
Yeah.
Yes.
A settlement called Samurai Town is ruled by.
okay, they just call it samurai town. Yeah, sure. Okay.
I didn't catch that, but yeah, that's the name.
Yeah.
Samurai Town is ruled by an unscrupulous governor, played by Bill Moseley.
Yeah. Which was all right. Okay. All right. We'll go with it, I guess. Bill Moseley. I mean, weirder people have been elected for powerful positions, so we'll go with Bill Moseley.
Who has blended elements of Japanese society, both modern day and pre-modern, and the old American West together at his whim, and is keeping a harem of adopted granddaughters as his sex slaves. The outside is a wasteland known as the Ghostland, inhabited by half-crazed outcasts and victims of the irradiated environment. Which those were some weird characters. But
Yep.
Yeah.
that one
But
that spoke with like almost robotic voice. You know, the crow guy or whatever.
oh, are you talking about wait, he was in The Crow? Who did he play?
No. He like was dressed kind of like a crow. He had like the feathers and stuff.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about.
Spoke with that weird voice at the beginning.
Yeah. I don't know what his whole thing was, but there was also that one guy, Psycho, Nick Cassavetes.
Yeah.
Who is actually an interesting director. But he hasn't acted in a whole lot lately, so it's kind of interesting to see him appear in this. It's like it's just kind of random, but
Yeah.
I don't know what he's directed since Alpha Dog. I've lost track of his career. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent,
No,
but
it's
it
all
just
good.
occurred. I just started thinking about it. I'm like, wait, what's going on with that guy? Psycho, I think his name was.
My Sister's Keeper, Yellow with the Other woman. That's what he's
Oh,
directed.
okay. All right. Well, there you go. All right.
Uh,
Anyway,
yeah. Just before the catastrophe, Hero, which is Nic Cage's name.
yeah, which is a rather unapropos name, I will admit, but whatever.
Yeah. I want to guess he just like didn't know what to name him. Just like he's the hero, just name him Hero.
What I got from this is a lot of Mad Max parallel. So I kind of think they were just going with a Mad Max-ish, but like I think they cut out so much of this movie too, because there was a lot of just not time skipping, but distance skipping.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, it did sort of jump around a lot.
Because there was a point where like you think they're gonna go out into the wasteland with a bunch of souped up cars, like Mad Max Fury Road, but they kind of just didn't do that.
Yeah, they end up just going back to the samurai place.
Yeah.
Like what? Okay,
And like they gave like in the beginning, like well, I guess I don't know how much we're gonna go just skip around, but like they gave him that suit, and then they gave him a car, but it wasn't that far away to where he went, because people were running back and forth from the samurai town to where he was. So I'm like, I think it was just like either they were gonna go like a whole Mad Max kind of driving into a wasteland thing, or Nic Cage just wanted to drive a badass car.
Yeah, I like when he was on the bike.
Yes.
I laughed.
And then Matchstick Man, I laughed when he was on the bike too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh man, Matchstick Man. Oh man, that's like one of my favorite Nic Cage movies. Actually, that must be one of my favorite movies. Period. Now that I think about it, like I don't know what it is about that movie. I just really love it. But anyway, yeah. So
oh, I meant Wicker Man, the one we were just talking about. He was on the bike.
Oh, I can see why you would get that confused with Matchstick Man. Wicker Man,
fire matchsticks.
Yeah, burning man. Like there you go. That's so funny. Holy shit. Oh my god. Okay. Anyway, go on. Step away from the bike. And then he goes into that one room and he pulls all the masks off the little kids. And they're all yelling out like, hey, what are you doing? And he's trying to find the girl. Such an asshole, just pulling masks off the little kids. Like anyway.
Before the catastrophe, Hero, a criminal, was imprisoned in the aftermath of a botched bank robbery where his partner Psycho brutally murdered several innocent bystanders. It is later revealed that Psycho was in the prison transport which collided with the waste truck and thus set off the disaster.
Yeah.
One night, Bernice, one of the granddaughters, flees from the governor's house with her friends Stella and Nancy, only to get stranded in the Ghostland. The governor has Hero released to retrieve Bernice from the Ghostland and outfits him with a bodysuit which is set to detonate explosive charges in case he mistreats Bernice in any way. In case he mistreats Bernice in any way, the suit itself is tampered with, or Bernice has not been rescued within 5 days. And they make the point to let you know that there's explosives on his testicles.
Yeah,
we got little lights on his balls.
Yeah, they blink again and again. And as soon as I saw them, I'm like, God damn! I hope Nicolas Cage gets his balls blown off in this movie. That'd be the funniest thing.
Yeah, spoiler alert. It was hilarious.
This movie delivered on Nicolas Cage getting his nuts blown off.
It was so funny.
Yeah. That might have been my favorite scene in the movie, actually. I don't know. I have a few favorite scenes, actually. Actually, the robbery scene kind of makes me laugh a little bit, just because, like, I don't know. It was so melodramatic. I don't get why the kid was still standing there. Like, he already had so much candy. Like, why did he go back and get more? Like, it just doesn't. Like, he shouldn't have been standing there in the first place. So it's not really like. I'm not surprised that he got shot. I mean, obviously, I'm not for kids getting shot, but like in that case, it's like, you're kind of in the way.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like Wicker Man, you keep seeing flashbacks to it throughout
Yep.
the whole
Right.
movie.
Which again didn't add anything really. I mean,
No.
it could have just shown it, moved on. I don't know. It's like whatever.
Yeah. When departing, Hero undertakes a parting gesture of defiance against the governor, which impresses Yasujiro, the governor's samurai bodyguard, whose sister is one of the governor's granddaughters. Upon entering the Ghostland, Hero is intercepted by a band of mutated men. Suffers an accident and is taken by the outcasts to their cult-like enclave and their leader Enoch.
Right. Oh yeah, he crashes the car. Is that what happened? Right.
I think
Yeah.
So what I did write down too, that there's just a funny scene where he was given the car. He does like a goes down, does like a nice quick 180, but then gets out of the car and then gets on a bike and starts biking down the road.
Yeah.
And like people were saying, what a badass, he's so cool. And then like the main bad guy was like, you know your time, so he just takes the car again anyway. So, what the fuck was the point of that? Just to be goofy as fuck.
That's so silly.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite part.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't
That was
expecting
great.
it.
No.
Yeah, that was great.
Like I was expecting some car shenanigans, but not the bike.
No, I was happy to see that.
Yeah.
There were a few little moments here and there where Nicolas Cage
It
did
had to
something that
be
was a little bit familiar.
It had to be an homage to stupid shit Nic Cage has done, because I think that bike scene must have been an homage to the Wicker Man bike shit. Because it was goofy as fuck. And then he does, spoiler alert, one of my favorite, he does the high fucking yeah from Deadfall.
Yeah,
he does it in this movie. So I'm like, oh, he's pulling out all the Nic Cage classics.
Yeah. I was happy to hear that. It's like, okay, there you go, the high fucking yeah. And he did something, and I don't remember what it was, but there was something in this movie that was a reference to Drive Angry, but I forget what it was now.
I haven't seen that, so I wouldn't have caught it.
Oh, okay. Well, Drive Angry, that was another one I was sort of thinking about doing for this.
I was
like,
thinking of picking that too, because I haven't seen it, and I was thinking of picking that. Yeah.
We'll do it for Nic Cage part 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does the high fucking yaw, and then let's see what else. Nicolas Cage, I mean, he's pretty much in the zone in this movie. He's 100% on board.
I think they let him be Nick. They casted him to be Nic Cage in this one, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and I'd actually have to say, as creative as the idea of this movie was, I think that was probably a good idea. Like that was probably a smart move, because really, like, what you got here, when you really kind of look at it on a basic level, it's more or less kind of just a traditional Western. Like, so it even has sort of a showdown at the end. But we can get to that. Yeah, you can go ahead and continue reading.
He finds Bernice among them, but she is half catatonic from trauma. With like these weird doll things that they put over everyone.
Yeah,
that was a pretty weird scene.
Yeah. that was creepy. I feel like it was trying to sort of reference Brazil, but the thing is, the world didn't really make any sense, so it didn't really make like it was like it didn't seem to have any purpose.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the movie Brazil by Terry Gilliam, not the country Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As he prepares to transport her back, Hero accidentally triggers one of his suit's explosives, which destroys one of his testicles and renders him unconscious.
Yeah. Yeah, and he runs around in a circle.
Oh, that's
I
so
was like,
fucking funny.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
in a nightmare flashback, Hero recognizes Bernice as a young girl whose mother was killed while he tried to escape the police station after the bank robbery, and who was subsequently taken in by the governor.
Yep.
Yeah, that was interesting.
There was that. Yeah.
Yeah. Attacked by the mutants from earlier, Hero is rendered unconscious again when an explosive on his arm is set off just before the assailants vanish. However, the detonation shakes Bernice from her catatonia. Does that make sense to you guys?
Well, I do remember that she was like sort of not she was just like she was totally just withdrawn for a good
Yeah.
portion of the movie.
But he
And
got
then suddenly, yeah,
knocked
but go
out
on.
twice.
Yeah, there was because he was trying to get her to say, because they had to voice command her to say I'm Bernice or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when she actually does it was when he was knocked out, and she just kind of crawled over and was like whispering at first, and then eventually
Yeah.
just yelled it and it worked or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
It
thought
stopped.
the explosive on his arm happened a little later. I don't know. There's too much going on.
Yeah.
I know that at one point there was some sort of explosive thing going on, but then she yelled and then it stopped, and it was like,
Yeah, because he had 3 days
Yeah.
to get to her and get the voice
Yeah.
activation and 2 days
Yeah.
to return her.
yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so all right, so I'm following. All right, I thought I was confused when I was watching it, but now I see that everybody, all of us are confused.
This is
so-
confusing me even more.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you go.
I definitely got to rewatch it, but
Yeah, it's a lot. It definitely was like there were a lot of costumes. The settings were, and there were only really 2 locations in it, but both of them had a lot going on. Yeah, it was a lot to take in. It was strange. Again, it kind of reminded me of Mandy, like, which I know wasn't a movie that you were crazy about, but that movie had kind of its own sort of weird logic and world to it as well that sort of made sense in its own way. Like I kind of think of that movie as sort of taking place in almost like a purgatory type of state or something that's not quite reality, but it sort of is in a way. This movie kind of had that same sort of thing. I mean, it was much more genre specific though, but still.
yeah. Meanwhile, Stella returns from the Ghostland and is captured by the governor's men, who has Yasujiro execute her, which finally turns him against the governor. Having had a revelation during his unconsciousness about his accidental role in the cataclysm, Hero stirs the Ghostlanders into a revolt against the governor, aided by Psycho and the mutants. I mean, I guess it just goes right to that.
Just jumps right in. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of other bullshit that happens that, like, I mean, maybe it's not bullshit. Maybe there was something to it, but it was, I don't know. I didn't quite get what they were going for most of the time.
Yeah.
It was a little, it went over me, went over my head, or maybe, I don't know. It was lost on me.
Yeah. Aided by Psycho and the mutants, his fellow convicts from the fateful accident. Hero and Bernice return to Samurai Town, but when the governor refuses to unlock the suit and Hero pretends to take Bernice hostage, Bernice's friend Susie, traumatized by the governor's treatment of her, massacres several of his bodyguards with a minigun.
Okay.
Hero, Bernice, and Yasujiro overcome the remainder, and then Hero faces off against and kills Yasujiro while Bernice shoots the governor. With the oppressor dead and the outcast liberated, Hero, Bernice, and Susie watch as Samurai Town begins to stir with new, freer life. But
Yeah. I did.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
go on.
I wrote down he has a at the final fight, like with the Yasujiro, he was wielding because his arm was blown off, but he fashioned like a blade hand.
Yeah. And he got his football helmet on at that point too, right?
Yeah, that was funny looking as hell.
Yeah, it was kind of funny to see him randomly put a football helmet on, like,
Yeah,
you
like
know,
this, like that'll protect you from.
Right.
yeah, it was like an old decimated like post-apocalyptic landscape, and a random football helmet will do the trick, you know.
Like the single face mask kind of football
Yeah.
helmet.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's the old school football helmet that they used.
Yeah. I don't have much else to say because a lot happened and I don't remember it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was confusing.
Yeah. There was a lot of world building, but then it's almost like they sort of forgot, oh wait, there's a plot, and they just sort of wrapped it up really quickly.
Yeah,
felt like
that's why I think a lot was cut out, because there was, and why I drew that Mad Max parallels, because there was a part where they were like getting shit ready to soup up a bunch of cars with the mutants and stuff, and the mutants reminded me of like those, I don't know what they were called, I forget what they were called, whatever.
Yeah.
In the Mad Max Fury Road shit, but then they didn't do anything with the cars. They just show back up at Samurai Town. So I'm like, what was the point of all that car souping up and whatnot?
Yeah.
Yeah, that pissed me off. It's like, what the heck? Like, what? Well, there was a lot of pointless stuff going on, which was sort of weird, you know, and because like I thought that it was going to build up to something more crazy, you know, like it felt like it was building towards something that was going to be really off the wall, but then it sort of just turned into a random Western with random shit. Like it's just kind of unusual, you know. I mean, I would definitely be willing to give it another watch at some point, because I definitely I loved looking at it. There was a lot to look at, and there were quite a few familiar faces actually in the cast that sort of made it, you know, pretty cool. So
yeah.
But overall, I would actually have to say, as far as Cian Sono films go, this is actually probably one of his most vanilla efforts. Like,
sounds like it from what you've described of his other ones. Yeah.
Yeah, like, which may come as a surprise to people who've never seen one of his films before and started with this one. But yeah, he definitely gets crazier from here. But I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed it for the first part. Like, I kind of got tired of it, I will admit. Like, once she starts talking and stuff, and like it starts getting into like what everybody else is doing, like it sort of starts to just feel just too familiar, you know. And it's like, okay, I can see where this is going now. And it was just kind of unusual because the first half was so odd and strange, and like you said, it did sort of feel like there was a lot missing too. So maybe there was some kind of interference.
Yeah. I'm thinking that.
Yeah. I don't know. But who knows? I mean, I still enjoyed it. Like it wasn't like bad or anything. I mean,
Yeah.
it was bad, but it wasn't like, it wasn't Wicker Man bad. Like
Yeah.
it was still like enjoyable.
And then the hype behind it being Nick Cage's craziest movie.
Yeah, it's like what?
Like, I mean, it is crazy, but you hyped it up a little too much.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I do think he had free reign though, at least because he was acting wild.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the reason he considered this to be his craziest film though is because I think Nicolas Cage met his match with this film. I think he encountered a director who is arguably okay. So here's what I think happened. Nicolas Cage, he worked with one of my favorite directors, Werner Herzog, with Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, right? Which that movie is something else. But the director, he's a pretty known for being a pretty crazy director, and I would say that he hasn't always been the most humane director either. But I'm not going to get into that. But anybody who knows who Werner Herzog is, I mean, he was shot in the middle of an interview with, I think it was Mark Kermode, and he treated it like it was just a normal everyday occurrence. So that should give you an idea of how crazy Werner Herzog is. And I remember seeing an interview with Nicolas Cage where he expressed a lot of frustration with working with Werner Herzog, because in the movie Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, he's supposed to be like a out of control, disgruntled police officer who gets addicted to painkillers and cocaine and all this other shit and becomes like a junkie. And I guess Werner Herzog challenged him a lot on his characterization. And so that was like a level of crazy that Nicolas Cage didn't like and didn't want to deal with. And I think with Sion Sono, he found like a happy medium. He found a director who is offbeat and strange and has an eccentric vision and is willing to comply with his sort of tendency to improvise and act wild and lose control and lose himself a little bit in his roles and go wild with the expressions and emotions and off ball like improv. I think that's why Nicolas Cage considers this to be his craziest film, because he found a director that met his match.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do more.
That'd be awesome.
I would love to see them pair up. They should do a Martin Scorsese DiCaprio pair. Like, you know how Scorsese has cast DiCaprio in like 5 of his movies or however many? Like, Sono should do that with Cage.
Yeah.
I'd be into it,
Yeah. Let's see it.
Yeah. I mean, I know Nicolas Cage is not one of those, one director actor type person. I mean, he worked with John Woo more than once, so I bet he'd be willing to work with Sono again. So
Hopefully.
yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Do either of you have any more thoughts on Prisoners of the Ghostlands?
One note I wrote down, I don't remember what, but I think it might have been the last line, was for all the sweet bitches. I'm assuming that was the last line because that was my last note I wrote down.
It's like
I don't remember the context of it at all, but
I can't remember if that was the last line either, but if it was, then that's one of the best lines, the best last line since you probably know which one I'm about to bring up, but Southland Tales, where Sean William Scott is like, I'm a pimp and pimps don't commit suicide.
Yeah.
Anyway. So that's Prisoners of the Ghostlands. I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed it. Like, it was dumb. It's kind of shitty, but I still liked it. It was Nic Cage. I mean, what can I say? There's not.
yeah.
I can't complain that much. I'd give it like 2 to 3, maybe.
Yeah, I gave it a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5 for me because got some good Cage in it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a solid Cage effort. It's just kind of a shitty movie overall, but I still think there's something to the idea.
Yeah.
It's just I tend to get sick of movies that are just senseless. I mean, okay, you got to rescue this girl in 5 days, otherwise your things will blow up. Why do they have to blow up? Like, don't you want him to rescue this girl? Like, I mean, I get that she's supposed to be like nothing but like she's supposed to be disposable, but then like at the same time, then why is there a plot if that's but whatever. I mean, obviously you're not supposed to really be thinking about it that much. I still think it's a solid Western. As far as those kinds of things go. I would have liked to see a little bit more sci-fi stuff. There was a little bit, but not very much. And I would have liked to see more of that.
More Bill Moseley too.
Yeah. Oh, I will say there was some good gore. The death scenes weren't bad. There was that one at the end with the, that I really liked. I was like, ooh, I like the gore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good stuff there.
Yeah. Occasional samurai elements, but nothing too crazy. So. All right, so I guess now we only have one more left, and that would be your choice, Nick.
Yep, I chose Mom and Dad. I honestly didn't hear of this before I went looking through his IMDb, which his IMDb also surprised me because I didn't know he was. I mean, I knew he was still working, but I didn't know how much he was still working and how much I didn't even hear of. And this is one of them. Its general plot of it is that it's parents of people I guess around the world are out to kill their parents, or not their parents, their children. It's honestly like a zombie movie in a lot of ways. They have like a little like Dawn of the Dead kind of news things of like people trying to explain what's going on. No one really knows. It's never really explained, like in Dawn of the Dead type stuff. Like the first scene before the credits is a mom and her baby. She stops in front of train tracks and just gets out of the car and walks away. And that's like the news thing that's going on during breakfast in the first actual scene or whatever. And they're like, who would do that to their child, kind of stuff.
Yeah. And that's kind of when you meet the main characters.
Yeah. Yep. But this was directed and written by Brian Taylor. I don't know if you're familiar with him at all, or because I wasn't really.
Yeah, I wasn't.
So
Brian Taylor.
He's made the Crank movies, Gamer, and like you said that Nicolas Cage is more of a one director type person, but he's worked with him because he made Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance as well. So he's worked with Cage before, and he obviously had Cage in mind for this role, because this is another Cage role for sure. He goes full Cage in this role as well.
Yeah. There was I said that Nic Cage isn't a one director type actor. Like he also acted with another movie by another director that I mentioned earlier. But anyway, so he was in Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nic Cage was Ghost Rider in the first. I only saw the first one, so.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming it was Ghost Rider and the rest of them too, or whatever.
I haven't seen either of them, but I've always been sort of curious because it's Nic Cage.
They're bad. They're so bad.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, one of us has got to pick that for the next Nic Cage episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious now
to get your reaction.
Yeah.
Oh, great. I can't wait. All right. Well, okay. So Nicolas Cage in this movie, he's like a sort of disgruntled father who is sort of lost, I guess. He his best years are behind him.
Midlife crisis kind of scenario going on with both the parents, really. The mom is Selma Blair.
Yeah. And actually, now that you mention it, it does make sense that this is by the same director as the Crank movies, because I remember because this movie sort of does the same thing that the Crank movies do, in that like it jumps back and forth in time, and like it like reveals something and then like reveals something else and then cuts back to the present
Yeah,
or
and
whatever. Or
it's a lot of
it does that a few
similar,
times.
like just camera work and like just
Yeah.
from the like once the shit starts hitting the fan, it just keeps going until the end, really.
Yeah, the editing is similar.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
real fast paced because it starts out real early too, like shit going down
Yeah.
real early too, which was nice because
Yeah.
this was I watched this twice because just scheduling conflicts, and it took us a little while to get this one down, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to remember, I just remember, and also I loved it.
Yeah.
I'll just say I loved this movie. It was really good. So
Yeah,
I was
have to
down to
say-
watch it again, so I did.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd actually have to say, of the 3 films on this episode, this is probably the one I like the most.
Yeah.
which is interesting, and that's interesting too, because the other 2 are they're directed by people that I like, and so it's interesting that of the 3 films, this is the one that like I like the most. It's like, it just goes to show you, like, just because you like a certain director doesn't mean squat. Like they could
Yeah.
be,
This had the most straightforward, in a good way, plot that wasn't confusing or didn't have many plot holes or random shit
Yeah.
happening, just because it was straightforward action. And I don't know if it was necessarily horror, but like, yeah, it had horror elements for sure. Like,
I found it pretty horrific, I gotta admit.
yeah, there was some
I
fucked up
thought-
shit.
Yeah, like I thought the thing that bothered me the most about the movie, honestly, were the death scene, and there actually weren't that many of them, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But the ones that there were like pretty awful. Like the worst one, in my opinion, was the one where like it kind of early on in the movie, where the girls with their friend and they go to her house, and then she like sees the news, and suddenly like she hears her getting strangled upstairs. Like that freaked me out, honestly. I was like, whoa, when her friend gets strangled.
Yep.
And then also the other part that was like kind of threw me for a loop too. It was another one of the death scenes that happened at the beginning, when the kid was seeing all these parents killing their kids, and he's freaking out, and he doesn't know why everybody's killing everybody, and so his mom is on the other side of the fence. It kind of happens in the middle of the chaos, and he climbs over the fence to get to her, and then suddenly she stabs him to death with car keys, which is like,
that's like the first death, I think, mostly. Yeah. Besides
that
the
was
baby
like,
and the like, yeah.
that was messed up. I was like, whoa, holy crap. Like this movie is not messing around.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, it's like, jeez.
All right.
Yeah.
And then okay, so it's so the main protagonist, I guess, is their daughter, a teenager. Carly is her name. It starts off with her being a teen, talking with her boyfriend. They're planning to do some party or something tonight. But there's and she steals her mom's money for some, you find out, drugs later, and not too much later. It was like a few scenes later, but yeah. And but there's a little she's like, I want to go to it was a little funny beat. Me and my boyfriend want to go to the movies. And she's like, the mom was like, what are you talking about? Nobody goes to the movies these days.
Yeah.
So she called bullshit on that right off.
Right. And actually, by the way, I also cut, just as a quick side note, her boyfriend, I really liked his character, and I felt bad because he sort of ended up doing the Eric Stoltz thing from Anaconda, where he was mostly just knocked out throughout the course of the movie.
Yeah. He just comes back to save the day and then gets knocked out again.
It's like, damn, But anyway, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. So after she gets denied, it was because of a couple of reasons. One, her aunt, the main character's aunt / the mom's sister, is pregnant, expecting. But also there's Nic Cage's parents are gonna be coming into town for dinner.
Yep.
Which is
Lance Henriksen.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that little bit because it's a Chekhov's grandparents scenario type of thing. Like I forgot all about it, and I don't want to spoil it yet till I get to it. But it was oh so good. So she's denied for that reason of going out, and also Nic Cage is like, no, I don't want you seeing that guy, and you're
Yeah.
and it's we do see the boyfriend, and he gets
Yeah.
erased. It's you think that Nic Cage is gonna be all racist and shit because
Yeah.
it's like because the boyfriend is black and I thought there he was gonna pull some racist shit, but I was like, no, he's a junior and you're a sophomore. And I'm like, that's not that big of an age gap.
It really isn't.
It's 1 year, maybe a couple months if you're birthed, right? So like what's your problem, man? But anyway, but yeah, the boyfriend's is kind of smart, but out on his down on his, I don't know how to explain it, but down on his like kind of like kid. He's going to take the PSATs, which is kind of weird to be because I thought that was just practice tests, the practice SATs. And and even when he hands in his test, he's like, you have 20 minutes. The test instructor's like, you have 20 minutes left. And he's like, I took a lot of practice tests. And I was like, okay, you took a practice tests for this practice test. I think they meant to do SATs, but they just kind of flubbed it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Yeah.
But at the same, you get that he's trying to sort of do something serious. I mean, at least to him. So
yeah, and I'm assuming they go. I don't know, like the school that she goes. So they're at school. They go to school. The mom. They have a mom to teenage mom to a daughter that they're not connecting because she's a teenager, doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And
and she also has a little brother too.
Yeah, there's the little brother that's chilling there. And they have a housekeeper, like a Chinese housekeeper with her daughter working for her as well.
Yeah.
And then they're at school basically. They get their phones taken away because their kids not. That teacher was pretty funny and cool too.
I like that character. Yeah.
And suddenly, he gets a call. A student has to go to the office, and then he turns around, starts teaching for a few more seconds. Another call. Another kid has to go to the office, and then soon enough, the alarms start blaring. I think it's a supposed bomb threat. Because everyone's at the school's evacuated, and they see cops buzzing out, and and it's like a gated school too. It's like some type of prep school because they were all in outfits. They weren't in regular street clothes and stuff. They were all in school uniforms.
I noticed that. So my guess is that this family is kind of in a small circle. Like it's like a close circle of upper class.
They're definitely upper middle class at least.
Yeah,
because it does I don't want to get again to one of my favorite scenes, but Nic Cage does reveal how much money and shit he's been making, anyway, it's like, so they're all evacuating, and I think at this point they must know something's fucked up because the parents are right outside the gates, and the teachers are not letting the kids go to them. They don't that teacher's like, we don't even know if it's a real bomb scare. What's going on? And then as you mentioned, this kid hops the fence, eventually breaks free from them, hops the fence, gets stabbed, and then all shit starts. That's when the movie just starts going balls to the wall.
Yeah.
Parents start jumping the fence, chasing their children down, and it's like a zombie flick again. People just start booking it. Kids start running.
There's even a gory head bashing, which I always love that.
I loved one of the because they were out they start running. One of the moms starts beating her kid, and then the police just tackles her off the kid and then just starts beating the shit out of the mom. I was like, awesome.
That was brutal.
Yeah. and while this is going on, we're getting a little bit of back story of like the mom also going through a little bit of, midlife crisis.
Yeah. Which, by the way, can I just quickly say, Selma Blair, like, I don't know how she keeps getting so perfectly cast and everything, but somehow it just happens. She's one of those actors who, like, if there's anybody who can play opposite Nic Cage perfectly, it's her.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
kudos
she
to
was
her.
real good in this. She's real good in this.
This was excellent, and I love all of her work. Like, I can't think of anything of hers I've seen. I can't think of any of her performances that I dislike. At least not off the top of my head. I'm sure if I really thought about it, I could. But this is another good one. So
So yeah, we're seeing her little backstory of her going through a midlife crisis as well. She's, trying to stay fit, doing these random gym classes that, older mothers that are, higher, like, just weird. And like her best friend is her daughter's best friend's mother as well. And they're like, shooting the shit. Like her mom's best friend is funny because she was like, I kind of hate her. Like I saw her like undressed the other day and I kind of fucking hated it. And like, she's like,
so ridiculous.
Yeah. She's like, one day her tits are gonna drop, and I was like, okay, shit. They were like, valley moms or whatever they call them, whatever.
Just criticizing,
being all jealous of the youth and like that kind of stuff, like trying to stave off getting old. Like,
pretty much.
Selma Blair was like, we're trying to stay healthy, No, and then the other one was like, no, we're trying to stay sexy or hot or whatever.
Like, oh geez.
And it shows like also during all the mayhem that's going on that Selma Blair is trying to get her old job back because the kids don't need her as much. And her old boss was like, it's been 15 years. No, things have changed. You're not going to be able to fit in here. Like, then it just cuts to her crying in the car.
It's just like, oh geez.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Her crying in the car, I don't know how to, because there is a little bit, it's well done, but hard to explain how to exactly put the pieces together. Her
life is busy.
Yeah, because after her getting denied the job, her sister goes into labor.
Yeah. And that leads to a very, very scary scene that I thought was gonna go in a direction that I wasn't quite ready for.
Yeah, this was honestly the most disturbing scene for me. So it's so what we can at least piece together is that somehow there's like just electronics at least is what's making this happen, because
static electricity,
static, because I believe it's because there's TVs that are obviously doing it, because after the boyfriend gets back from home gets back home from the SATs, his dad is a drunk, but there's static on the TV and he starts beating his kid, and you think and he implies that he's like, please not again, dad, stop. And you think, oh, he's an abusive drunk father. But then he's, breaks a bottle and tries to stab him with it and shit. But he gets out of that, luckily, because the dad just trips and falls and like stabs his own neck with the bottle. He got lucky.
Real lucky,
And then, but back to like the mom and his sister scene. That was funny because the brother, like, it was just a boyfriend that impregnated. I don't know really what the backstory is, because they said it's a long story. It wasn't a husband or anything. And her sister has the baby, but then like the monitors, like, the hospital monitors, heart monitors go to static, and then she starts squeezing the baby and shit and trying to kill it. And I thought this was definitely the most disturbing scene too. I was like, oh, are they actually gonna do this?
I was like, please, let's not go in that direction.
Yeah, she grabs like a scalpel too, and like all the doctors, nurses, and Selma Blair's, they get the baby away. and they get the baby away. Selma's they don't want, like, she doesn't want to give up the baby to the nurses, but she's cornered by a nurse and a security guard, and then they show
Yeah.
him putting it away to safety, presumably because they say your sister's sedated, we need to take it for the child's safety. But you see the nurseries just littered with parents on the outside just looking in at these babies, and you're like, oh shit, this is fucked up. Like they just have that crazy stare. And this happens throughout, like at the PSATs too. There's parents just waiting for their kids to get out, just like kind of staring at them, and the boyfriend just like, what the hell's going on here?
Just ready to pounce.
Yeah, so there's that shit's going on. But back to the main character, she and her friend, they get in the car, her friend drove, they drive back to her house, her friend's house. And that's when the scene where you mentioned where she's strangled by her own mother. And
that was the most disturbing scene for me, just because like the sound design can really affect me. I've realized when it comes to horror movies, if a film has really good sound design, and the sound design in that scene was really freaky because you could hear her gagging. It was just like, ugh. It just gave me the chills.
And the mother too, like Carly or whatever, she walks in on it after it's done, and the mom was just like, looks up to her and says, oh hey cutie, or hey sweetie, or whatever, hey hun, just with a smile on her face like nothing's happening, and she just freaks out like and books it. So she and then also the I guess the first one was the because she books it, Carly starts running out the house, presumably to go home. And the first kill, we don't see the kill on camera, but we see like the little brother, she's being taken care of by the housekeeper type thing while the parents are at work and at the gym. And you just hear like because the housekeeper is also with her daughter, bam, smacks. We don't see it, but we hear it. Again, good sound design, and the kid, you see the kid's reaction to it, and then just cuts to going away and stuff. And also a little funny thing was like the dad didn't like the housekeeper too, and before he left for work, the housekeeper's like, okay, I make dinner and put it in the fridge, and he's like, fuck you, like under his breath, yeah, fuck you, thanks, and then goes away. I thought that was funny.
That was Nicolas Cage's character was just very troubled man.
And even with like that little dialogue, he's like, he was talking to the daughter like, you wait one day till you have one of these kids, and the mom was like, too late. Sorry, so it's like implied that the daughter already has a kid. Little throwaway lines right there, but
that was great.
We see Nic Cage too at some point. He's at his work, he fell asleep on the desk watching porn at his job, so he's already like he's already like out of it, like not caring about his job, missing a phone call from his wife. And I thought that was a little funny scene.
Nicolas Cage is also in this movie. He kind of has like a different type of posture, like in a lot of his movies, like he tends to be real physical and stuff, but in this movie he's kind of like he kind of goes from having a fatherly like posture to like kind of out of shape to being sort of like, like he's kind of fallen over. There's like, it's painful to watch at a few points. He like trips and falls over something at one point.
The toy.
It's like, ooh, like, and he lands really hard. And it's like it's like a loud cracking noise. It sounds like he hurt himself. It's like, great. Anyway.
Oh, there was a funny Dr. Oz scene too. He shows up in the like a little news scene. Just like I said, there's like, Dawn of the Dead parallels of just news people trying to explain what's happening, and he's explaining that, pigs do this all the time because they can't provide for all of their piglets. So sometimes the mothers just have to kill. It happens in nature. This is what's happening now with us.
Yeah.
And some other news things going on saying this could be a biological weapon where, the strongest impulses of the parents are to protect their children. But what if something happened where the switch is flipped? And yeah, there's all that going on. So there's no real explanation except for like the static type stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Carly's escaping from her parents or her friend's house. She just literally runs into her boyfriend, like just smacks him, like they just ran into each other randomly. And he seems to know what's going on because like he's like, "Where's your brother? Where's your parents? What's going on? We need to get to your brother and get him home or get him away." And
because he's at home.
Yeah, because they do like while he's explaining it, they see like this guy with a bloody bat that's like she's scared of, but he's like, "Don't worry, he doesn't want you." Because he's killed. They're only after their own children. They're not trying to kill anyone else but their own children. He's like, we need to. So don't worry. He's not after you. We need to get your brother. We need to get him out. And like, where are your parents? My dad's at work and my mom's at the gym. But then she realizes that, oh shit, she was at the gym with my mom, my friend's mom, which she just saw murder. So she assumes that oh fuck, mom's home too now. She puts two and two together. So yeah, they get home.
Pretty much just to rescue the brother.
Yeah, they get home. They notice, the housekeeper's still there. Daughter isn't. She's mopping up. And then they notice just a big puddle of blood. And then she just freaks out on the house. You have to go. And then the housekeeper's funny, like saying, "Oh, you want me to clean this? No one's cleaning. Nothing's going to get done around here. I'm cleaning this, cleaning that." It's just like...
Yeah. Totally not even acknowledging the fact that she bludgeoned her own daughter to death.
Yeah. And there's like, again, there's another like news scene of I don't know, it just like cuts to a few of these that like a parent is explaining like what he did to his kid, and he's just saying, "Yeah, I know what's wrong, but I don't care. You want me to summon up some crocodile tears?" Yeah, it's like like, oh shit, like there's something going wrong.
Something's definitely wrong with this situation.
Yeah. So they go up to the housekeeper leaves. The sister finds her brother under his bed hiding. And then they're like, "Okay, we got to get out of here. We got to get." And the brother, of course, is like 10, I think, and he doesn't know what's going on. He just wants to see his parents, but doesn't understand that his parents are out to kill him and stuff.
Right.
And then that's when Nic Cage shows up. I don't know. They don't really know. I guess he gets turned somehow as well. They don't really show that because they do show when I think because Selma Blair has a little turning moment where she's just listening to the radio and static radio happens, and like you could like they kind of go dead-eyed when they start turning or whatever.
Yeah.
So then there's just a fight scene a fight chase scene breaks out in the house between Nic Cage and the kids.
Yeah. Well, like because Nic Cage already sort of got mad at the kid earlier. So like he kind of turned sort of early on, it felt like, because wasn't there like some sort of thing that happened? Oh, like there was like a dead animal in his car or something.
That was a flashback scene of way earlier, explaining like because they do give a backstory to the parents, like because the kid found like a dying cat. It wasn't fully dead, but it was being eaten by crows and shit. You never see the cat, but he tries to rescue it, gives it some cereal, but then he finds out.
Expires.
And then there's just a scene like of Nic Cage and the son, like him drinking a beer, the son eating a popsicle, and having a good father-son bonding moment. He wasn't upset because this was all flashback. Yeah, he was just upset. Right. But understandably, he's like, "I fucked up when I was your age. You know that car was your grandpa's. I took it out to impress He's like, yeah, it's a total pussy magnet. And the kid was like, Dad, sorry, chick magnet. But as I was giving it a joyride, I totaled it, and I had to pay my dad back every single cent, not like off the lot payment, and fix it up myself. But it was, my pride and joy. So there was some father-son bonding, and it showed a little flashback of a mother-daughter bonding where like it was her.
They say something like, if you do, I'll kill you. And
But if you ever do that again, I'll kill you. They do that little kind of.
And then he does like the serious face. It's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, they do that a few times.
It's kind of like they're trying to reference The Shining a little bit, but go on.
Yeah, like in the beginning, before he goes to work, his son throws something at his head or something, and he like looks around, and like you hear like a ringing, and he has that like dead look, kind of dead, I'm gonna kill you look. But then he just like, he gives like a fucking funny Nic Cage laugh off, like, and then just goes to work.
So silly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there's the fight breaks out between the kids. The boyfriend saves saves them from dad, but he gets knocked the hell out. Like Nic Cage just smashes his head into the ground, and he's out for like a good third of the movie now.
Pretty much, yeah. Like he doesn't get up until like the last like 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah. And then it's out again for
it's like, what the heck? Okay.
Yeah. So the kids are, I forget exactly when the mom shows back up, but eventually
well she hears the news broadcast first, and she like is hearing it, and she like at one point on the news it says stay as far away from your kids as possible, and then she realizes that she's like parked like really close by. She like stops her car, and then she gets out and walks. And it's like, whoa. And that part kind of reminded me a little bit of The Happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was like, whoa, that was kind of a creepy moment.
No, one thing when he came back, when Cage came back, he was talking to the boyfriend, like, I know what you're all about. And it was him explaining porn. He was like, there's all this porn. I wrote down, melt a dildo ass to ass. It's like full Nic Cage going on, and
it's so fucking funny.
Shit goes down. They hide in the and then that fight breaks down. They hide in the basement, where they get another flashback of Nic Cage. It's like 3 weeks earlier, because they see just a whole destroyed basement, and it's 3 weeks earlier. Nic Cage is building a pool table, like for himself. He's having a little midlife crisis kind of thing, and you see him struggling with the level because the pool balls are not going straight. But he finally gets it done,
and then
and then Selma Blair comes down, and
he sings the Hokey Pokey.
Yes,
I think that's what my notes say. The Hokey Pokey.
Yep. Yeah, but it was after I thought a brilliant Nic Cage monologue of him like explaining, I'm going through a fucking midlife crisis. We needed to have a family room and an adult room, like, and then he just goes wacko and takes a sledgehammer and starts singing the Hokey Pokey while he smashes the pool table he just built.
You put your Wi-Fi in.
Yeah. And that's where we get he's explaining, he's having a midlife crisis. He was a hot shot sex machine, having he was I go from making 140,000 a year to 40,000 a year. I want a man cave. What? Don't you get any of this? And then you get a less cool monologue from Selma Blair about about how the differences between being a mom or a female going into motherhood or whatever.
By the way, Zach, what had you watched this movie before?
I hadn't. No.
Okay, so this was your first time seeing it?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Nice.
Nice. What were your thoughts on it at this point? Like, were you like,
It got interesting. For sure.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh no, so they are in the basement at this point, and the mom shows
Right.
up and she's like, "You're home early," and he's like, "So are you." And then they like nod at each other, like, "Yeah, we know what's going on."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Mommy's home, come on out." And then the boy kind of wants to, but like the sister was like, "No, we can't, we're not going to, mom." And then she's like,
Yeah.
and then Nick Cage on the crazy, "You motherfuckers, this motherfucker, your motherfucking mom wants you to get out of the motherfucking
Yeah.
basement."
Yeah, he starts swearing at.
Yeah. And Selma Blair, she gets a sawzall, because it's
Yeah.
he's like, "That's not gonna work on the door," and she's like, "It's a sawzall. It means it saws all," and it does. And it does, like, you think it's not, because it kind of is a flimsy saw, but it eventually does start working.
Yeah.
And then
Once they figure out how to use it.
yeah, once they figure out how to use it, it starts working. But then you hear a pop pop. The kid has a gun,
Yeah.
which is it's a little flashback. They do another little flashback to the kid, finding the gun under the parents' bedroom, and he's like just playing with it. And,
Oh yeah. That
and
was
the
hilarious.
and the mom was like, "What? When the fuck did you get a gun?" And he's like, "Gotta protect the house." Cage, he's like, "Gotta protect us somehow." And
Yeah.
someone's like, "Well, don't you know, like 1 in 4 are household, I don't know, or by kids accidentally shooting shit."
Yeah.
And
But
she's
at this point he's beyond that because he's already played with the gun.
yeah,
So-
yeah. And it was the kid, and it was the son's birthday was the combination to the gun lock. He's like, "I
Yeah.
had it locked up." Well, what was the combination? Josh's birthday.
That was like, of
Yeah.
course.
Yep. So like they from stopping them from sawing down the door, the kid shoots them through the door. The mom gets hit just in the arm though.
Yeah.
They patch up. They take a different approach. They take out the stove, attach a hose to it, shove it through the basement window, and they're gonna gas the kids out.
Yeah. Okay. I remember that. So this is when it started going into like panic room territory. But go on.
Yep. So they realize what's happening. I guess the kids eventually, I mean, it's fairly obvious, but they don't really like say, "Oh no, we got to figure something out." But the kids are the starting to get sick and stuff, gassed up.
Yeah. They're smart enough to figure out what's happening.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And then the way they get out of this, I thought was pretty neat. They get a book of matches. They tear off like I don't know what the lighter ignition strip.
Yeah.
She tapes it under the door. She tapes a book of She tapes a handful of matches to the bottom of it, so it's like scraping against it, or is going to scrape against it. And they find like a little crawlway too, like from the basement. Like I think that they're crawling up like the wall, like between the walls of the house up to the attic.
Yeah.
And eventually like they it's silent, so they think the kids are dead, and
Yeah.
they sawzall the door down and they open it up. The matches ignite, and then since the basement's full of gas, it's just a huge explosion. That's a
Yeah.
slow motion explosion. Nick Cage is all like, "Oh," and he gets blown, and he gets blown through the fucking wall that's behind him.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah,
It's fun seeing Nicolas Cage fly around.
Yeah. And I'm surprised he lived through that, because like you see, because Selma's off to the side, she didn't get a direct hit, but he was like fucking
Yeah.
engulfed in flames, and you see her like
Yeah.
look through the hole in the wall, and he's like just out of it, all charred up and shit. But but as they're trying to escape, mom realizes that they made it up into the upstairs. So another chase begins, and again the boyfriend wakes up out of unconsciousness
Yeah.
to save him from her mom. Should they
They
lock
have a
her?
nice. Yeah.
They lock her in a closet and have a nice little. It's usually she's just such a corny line, but sorry, my parents are usually not like this, and then they laugh like hysterical, like not hysterical,
Yeah.
like haha, so funny, but like crazy. They're like in hysterics
Yeah.
because it's traumatizing kind of laugh.
Yeah. It was an interesting moment because it was like a combination of a like not a meet cute, but like a romantic cutesy moment mixed with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Sally's laughing in the back of the trunk,
Yep.
kind of delirium.
Yeah, and because in the boyfriend was like, well, I used to think my parents getting divorced was the worst thing that ever happened to me, but it actually doubled my chances of surviving.
Yeah,
During-
and they're like, whoa.
and then
Yeah.
she just
And
like,
meanwhile, the kid is having a panic attack.
yeah, yeah, and the mom starts breaking out, whipping a clothes hanger around, and the kid gets the boyfriend gets fish hooked with the clothes hanger.
Yeah.
And and still another fight occurs, and then the boyfriend gets knocked out again pretty violently. Like he gets bludgeoned, and then he like falls over the rafters of the second story into like another rafter and then onto the floor. So he's out.
Yeah,
He's
they
out
knocked
again.
him right off. Yeah, it's intense. It's like, jeez.
Yeah. And then eventually, like that just leads them to the kids getting cornered. They thought they're going to be done for, but the doorbell rings, and he's like, the parents are just like, "Huh? Who's that?" "Oh shit, your parents." Nic Cage's parents show up for the family dinner.
Yeah,
the Chekhov's fucking grandparents.
excellent. That was like perfect timing.
Because at this point, so much shit's happened. I forgot all about this. I'm like, oh, this is gonna go down now too.
Yeah,
like
great.
And Nic Cage answers the door, and then just immediately gets pepper sprayed by the mother.
Yeah, it's like, oh hey, mom and dad.
Pepper spray.
Yeah. So we get to see Nicolas Cage get blown up. We get to see him get pepper sprayed. Like, I mean, it's great. You know?
Yeah. You get to see, and then the dad just comes in. He's a vet from Vietnam. He's a Vietnam vet, and he just starts stabbing Cage and making fun of him for being a little pansy boy, saying, "Oh, I missed your." He's like, "Dad, you killed me, Dad." He's like, "I missed your guts." And then he starts trying to stab him again.
Yeah. Throwing him across the room, and then he sees his son and starts chasing after him. He's like,
yeah. So there's like a three-way chase scene between Cage and his son, who's being chased by the grandpa. So there's like just a crazy chase sequence. And then
and the fact that it was Lance Hendrickson was his dad was amazing.
That was incredible. Yeah, no, Lance Hendrickson did an excellent job. R.I.P. I honestly like seeing him play Nicolas Cage's father is beautiful, you know. And then Nicolas Cage getting pepper sprayed in the face was great, and then chasing after his son, who I forget who the actor's name was, but I did notice that kid did all of his own stunts, which is
nice,
pretty excellent, you know. So good for him. But yeah, and so then you get to the garage scene, which was probably that was a sort of a tense moment, but
the kids in the car trying to get out, and like the dad has like some type of pickaxe for some. I don't know why the hell they have a pickaxe. It's like some prospectors miners type axe, is like, flat on one side and like a pickaxe, and he's like I don't know cars.
He's using it on the pool table.
And he's smashing it, and then the grandpa starts stabbing him, catches up to him, and the kid gets out, almost gets crushed, but like there's just like a crazy like it's just a crazy car sequence where like the grandpa gets his head smashed between like his like where the grandparents parked because they bust out of the garage. And the mom's there too. Like there's a funny slow motion sequence where like the mom is like, because it has a sunroof, and when they crash backwards, smashing the grandpa's head, the grandma is just flying overhead in slow motion with a funny face on her look, just hilarious.
That was great.
So that's basically it. It ends with like the daughter, she bashes the Selma Blair, knocks her out. I think Nic Cage just lost consciousness due to the car crash / getting stabbed a bunch. Yeah.
Yeah, so at the end they're tied up.
Yep. They're tied up in the basement. They're like, come on, let us get the they have to mention the sawzall. Get the sawzall and cut us out. And then they're like, no, we can't do that. I don't trust you. And then Nick Cage, of course, starts freaking out, like, ah, signifying that they're still under the whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it ends with like, we love you. We love you too, but sometimes we just want to cut to credits.
Yeah. Ends mid-sentence, which
Yeah.
was funny.
Yeah.
But I gotta admit, like, I kind of felt like the film sort of stopped, like the ending
Yeah.
felt a little like that ending was too sudden. Like it felt like it felt like a movie that was building to a really epic climax, and then the climax didn't happen,
It sopranoed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'd say if I do have any gripes with this movie, it's that, that it felt sort of sudden, and it's like, oh, like I was really kind of invested in what was going on. I wanted to see, like, because they tied him up now. It's like, ooh, where's this gonna lead? And then it stopped.
Yeah.
It's like, oh dang,
Yeah, that
it's like
definitely took a star out of my rating for that.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I didn't mind it too much because I was like, where are they gonna go from this? And like,
Yeah.
but it was definitely sudden. Maybe more like, I don't know if it need like where it's like, yeah, because again, it's like a zombie type movie where like shit's still fucked up all around the world.
Yeah. I still liked it. I mean, I think it was. I mean, I think I see what they were trying to go for with the ending. They were trying to do kind of a Coen Brothers thing where it's like, you're really focused on what's going on and you're feeling invested, but then, there's a conclusion and it wraps up in a way that it's like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah. And the thing
wow,
is, considering I think it's like, I think a thing that the director does too, because in Crank, isn't that a similar ending where Jason Statham just falls off a helicopter and quote unquote dies, and then it just ends there?
Yeah. Chef Chelios, he died, but he got better.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's just something, an ending that the director likes, is like just out of nowhere
really
endings,
jarring.
like just end on the climax with no resolution.
Yeah, maybe that's just his style.
Yeah.
I would have, but I admittedly though, I would have really liked to have seen what would have happened next. Like what would have happened next? Honestly.
I mean, that's maybe some of the fun is, the audience gets to make it up in their own imagination.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, and maybe like, because I don't know. Like, I mean, at that point, they would probably try to leave the house. I mean, I don't know how would Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair get free? Like, I wonder.
Yeah.
They just like chew through their ropes or something. They do something wild. Nicolas Cage like does another freak out. I have to chew through these ropes.
Right.
Something crazy, like some sort of crazy shit. Like this kind of reminds me a little bit of the movie The Signal. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Mm-mm.
It's really, really messed up. It's this movie where it's a strange movie because it's sort of done in 3 parts. It's almost like an anthology film because it's directed by 3 different directors, but it all follows one storyline. So it follows different characters in this one storyline. So already like the structure of it's kind of different. But it's about this situation where like static electricity suddenly starts making everybody go crazy, and like cell phone signals, all that stuff, like everything just, it drives people insane, and suddenly everybody just decides to start killing each other. And so like some girl, like she's like in her apartment or something like that. It like the movie begins with her in her apartment, and then suddenly like there's like yelling and screaming, and she hears like her neighbors arguing, and she goes out. It starts off almost like an art film where it's just like following one person. It's kind of intimate and quiet, and it's like, I wonder where this is going to lead. And then suddenly like everybody starts going crazy and everybody starts killing each other, and then it slowly just starts to evolve from there, and it becomes like a epic like post-apocalyptic horror thriller where like just everybody's killing each other, and this one like it's like a few like 2 or 3 people who are trying to avoid the static electricity because they don't want to go insane, and it's really suspenseful and creepy. The Signal, I think it was made in 2007, I want to say.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I liked it. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I like this. Like, I do. I think it's like pretty much a zombie movie, except
Yeah.
like not undead, just like sentient zombies, the
Yeah.
parents and stuff.
Yeah,
Has a
28
lot
days
of
later.
Yeah. And like the zombie movies generally don't have a conclusion, that wrap up of what's gonna happen, because the world's fucked. Zombies took over the world, and like
Yeah,
presumably, we don't know, of course. I mean, if everyone's gonna go back to normal eventually, it doesn't seem that way.
yeah. I mean,
So-
that's the thing. I guess that's why I kind of feel like this is unique, because the world may not necessarily be fucked in a situation like this. Like, because really, when you think about it, the daughter and the boy, all they really have to do is just kill their parents and they're safe.
Yeah, everyone just has to kill their parents.
Yeah.
Basically. But I mean, in
And-
zombie movies, that's all they have to do is just kill all the rest of the zombies. But that's always hard because
Yeah.
there's lots of them. Like, presumably half the world is parents, or maybe less. I don't know how it works out, but
Yeah, and zombie movies, like, even if they don't end bleakly, they usually have to end ambiguously or on some kind of mystery in the end anyway. Dawn of the Dead, like, they escape, but what world are they really escaping to if the world is overrun by zombies? They aren't really escaping.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't really mind the ending that much, because it's a zombie flick in my eyes, pretty much.
Yeah, and I guess maybe I just need to sort of look at it that way. I think.
Yeah, the thing is that we got like personality behind the zombies. Like, we got like pretty decent backstories. The Cage's and Selma Blair's character were interesting, and going through midlife crises and relatable.
Yeah.
So it's
And
not like they were, mindless bad guys. They were like, oh shit.
That's true. And admittedly, like, if they had gotten killed, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed that very much, because like the film already sort of got you kind of invested in them a little bit, even though they're trying to kill their kids and you're not really liking what they're doing. You don't really necessarily want to see them get killed. Like, even Selma Blair's character isn't depicted as being a bad person.
No, she's just, like, good. Like, there's that one scene, that one flashback.
She saves the baby.
Yeah, she saves her. Yeah, and there's that one flashback scene. They had the couple flashback, with the mom and daughter of the daughter trying on makeup and saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," whatever. But her mom not caring. She's like, "Oh, it's okay," and she helps her out with the makeup and that, like, a little, and so you get like that. These are good parents just going through midlife crises, because
and I like the daughter. I like the son. I like the characters. I like the boyfriend. I liked all the characters enough to want to see what happened to them.
Yeah.
So maybe I just need to sort of cut my losses. It's like, this is a story that's not necessarily going to end in a conclusive way. It just needs to wrap up, and okay, this is a safe situation, good enough. Like, like, maybe that's good enough. Maybe that's all I need to really settle it. Like, who knows, maybe the signal fades off after a while, or
I mean, it's either that or they just probably kept them there and starved to death or something. Like, there's not much else.
There's no way that this movie could have concluded that would have been satisfactory. I just got to plug this in. Go on.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's about all. Yeah, I mean, so I don't necessarily, because there really isn't too many ways it could have gone. Is either they're saved or they're dead.
Yeah,
so.
I guess. Yeah, looking at it from that point of view, that makes more sense. So I'd probably give it, like, I don't know, like, I mean, the ending was kind of frustrating because it's like, so I wanted to kind of give it like a 2 to a 3, but I don't know. Now I'm sort of leaning more 3-4 range. Like, upon thinking about it more, I don't know. I really did enjoy it quite a bit, and I was like engaged with it, and it
Mhm.
was suspenseful. The music was a little much. I must admit, it was like the music that was like, like real, like heavy, like
Nice.
intense, like whoa, this is like a serious type of, which it's like I don't really know how much more of that you really need. I mean, it's literally a movie about parents killing their children.
There was
Like
some
you don't really, but it's
yeah,
still
there
cool.
was some actual. Now that I think there was some good music beats, kind of not
Yeah.
like that stuff, but like little cliche type. I don't remember the exact songs, but they were like saying, "Oh, I love," like they were familiar songs. Don't exactly remember what, but they
Yeah.
tied into the a little like what's the word like. It wasn't subtle like the lyrics,
Yeah.
but like they tied into
Yeah.
what was happening and stuff.
Yeah. There was a really funny one. When oh my god, what was it? When Lance Henriksen was trying to kill Nicolas Cage, what was the song that was playing? Oh my gosh. It was like a really like lovey-dovey type of like I don't remember now. It's gonna drive me nuts. But I remember laughing
Yeah.
at when I was watching it.
I think the same kind of thing happened too when it was at the hospital and they were showing the parents looking into the nursery. There was like
Yeah.
kind of lovey-dovey type song.
Yeah. I remember that. Anyway, it's good.
Yeah. I give it 4 stars. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Cool.
I was gonna give it a 2.5.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought it was okay up until the last part. I didn't really get into it until the last like half hour maybe,
Yeah.
and then it just ended. Like it's when I was getting into it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I want to give it a 3. Like it wasn't that bad, but like
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a 3.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could sort of see how like maybe like the beginning might not necessarily, only because like you're dealing with like the parents stuff and it's kind of a drag, and then the kids stuff is sort of like, oh great, like more of this, and there's a lot of angst and a lot of distress and a lot of that, this sort of thing, and then suddenly characters start getting killed off. Like I can imagine like at the beginning it's sort of slow going for some people. I mean, I think the film is relatively fast paced overall
Oh
as far
yeah.
as like how things happen and everything, but the cutting back and forth and the flashbacks and the exposition and stuff, like I could see some people feeling like that's a little much, maybe not necessarily like enjoying how that sort of thing goes about, maybe. I mean,
Yeah. I hear you.
but I liked it. Yeah, I thought it was a good one. I enjoyed. I think this is also of the 3 Nicolas Cage performances that we've discussed in this episode. I would say this was the strongest of the 3. So
Definitely. Yeah.
yeah,
I think this was definitely a role built for him too. Like,
yeah, I would agree.
what did you rate it?
Me?
Yeah.
Like 3 to 4. Like I probably around that range. Initially I would give it like, initially I was kind of in the middle more, just because the ending was a little jarring and I was like, bummer, it kind of bummed me out. But I think, I don't know, I think I've learned to sort of accept the fact that the film ended the way it did, so
Yeah.
it's really not a big deal at the end of the day. So
Yep. I enjoyed it quite thoroughly.
yeah, it was a good one. All right. Well, and I guess that concludes our Nicolas Cage episode. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. Like, do you guys have any ideas of any kind of like maybe interesting sort of episodes like this you'd want to do in the future at some point? Like, you guys like been thinking of any ideas or anything? Just figured I'd ask.
You had said Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Oh
That was
right.
okay. Yeah. So okay, yeah, I was thinking Snoop Dogg. Maybe that's something we could do at some point, a Snoop Dogg episode,
Yeah. And
because
Yeah.
he
then
is in a lot of B movies. So.
I was thinking Albert Pion.
Yes, because he directed a movie that Snoop Dogg is in, which I'm going to specifically choose for the Snoop Dogg podcast. But I'm not going to choose it for the Albert Pian podcast. So,
I don't have any ideas. I don't know.
We got to do a Halloween too.
Oh, all right. Halloween.
Oh,
themed
yes.
shit.
We should do that.
we
soon.
do, yeah. Good idea. Yeah, I gotta get on that. All right. So cool. Well, until next time, yeah, we'll probably surprise you again before too long. So watch your back.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night.
Yep. Have a good one.
See ya.